this morning, the president set to touch down in the Texas Hill Country.
It's a horrible thing that took place. Absolutely horrible.
As the state grieves one of the deadliest floods in history. With recovery missions underway.
We're doing everything we can to find them.
We got to keep this stuff going, and we got to give closure to these hurting families.
A community comes together through heartbreak and loss.
We want to help. It's part of our healing. We have to help.
A special edition of News Nation Live starts right now. And good morning from Kerrville, Texas. I'm Marni Hughes, and this is a special edition of News Nation Live. The sun has now come up, and some crews are just arriving where we are. It's been a week since an unimaginable tragedy hit this region. A week ago, this community was getting ready for a big 4th of July celebration with their family, with their friends. This morning, they are still coming to terms with an extraordinary loss. Being here, it is hard to put into words the devastation since the Guadalupe River soared to disastrous levels, catching so many in this community off guard in the middle of the night as they slept. Here is where things stand right now. At least 120 people in the Hill Country are dead, including 36 children. 96 of those deaths happened right here in Kerr County, where we are right now. More than 160 others are still missing as we speak. And as I left the hotel this morning, there was search team after search team in trucks ready to get out there today and continue to look. Texas authorities are vowing not to stop this search until they find every single one of the people that is missing. The biggest news on the ground today is that President Trump is going to be here, and he'll be joined by the First Lady. This is a tour so that he can see firsthand the damage, meet with these emergency responders and the officials making the decisions. We're going to be following the president's visit all day long right here on News Nation, so make sure you stick with us. We'll have more on that in just a moment. This has been the story, though, since I got on the ground here yesterday afternoon. People from all across the state of Texas and beyond wanting to spread a message of hope, from helpers clearing debris to those feeding volunteers and first responders. Take a look at this.
We're in Texas, right? Texans got Texans back. So we're here we're here for that reason and no other reason than that. You know, we're not looking for any sort of recognition or any sort of anything other than, you know, the thank yous that we get mean more than anything.
What's it mean to have a place like this where you guys can stop by, get some water, get some food, and get back out there?
It's been really great. It has. You know, we pass by this direction. We're meeting at the Comfort City Park, so we pass right by here every time we come. And so after the shift, we've been stopping in here. Everyone's been so happy to be able to come get food. Easy. They can just come right up here and get food, get the water, shade, and rest, and then meet people up here. It's been so amazing meeting everyone up here.
Why are you here?
Well, when the Lord puts something on you, as our grandparents taught us, you better go help them, because you might not get an next chance yourself, or something might happen to you and you need help.
Boy, there is a lot of heart in each and every one of these volunteers. So many people coming together on the ground here. I met a group that drove 17 hours from Georgia just to pitch in. It is that kind of thing that we're seeing all across this region right now. And it's also what the president is going to see when he gets here on the ground just a few hours from now. I want to bring in now News Nation correspondents helping us cover this devastation, Libby Dean and Jorge Ventura. Libby is in Washington, and Jorge Ventura has been on the ground here for the last week. Libby, I want to start with you. Walk us through what we can expect from the president once he gets on the ground here today as he leaves Washington.
Good morning, Marni. President Trump and the First Lady will depart here, the White House, in less than half an hour for Kerrville, Texas, where you are on the ground there. And then later this afternoon there, the president will receive a briefing from local officials. He'll also meet with families and first responders there on the ground. Now, the president, he's going to tout this close contact between the Trump administration and state officials during this recovery that we've seen play out on the ground there. We saw DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, as you mentioned, visit this area earlier this week. She was one of the first Trump administration officials on the ground there. She's expected to return today with President Trump. They'll also be greeted by Governor Greg Abbott, but also local officials there as well. And in a recent interview, Marni, President Trump suggested that there should be alarms installed across the Guadalupe River following an incident of this magnitude. We'll see if that's the message we hear from President Trump today as he departs the White House in less than a half hour. Marni.
All right, from the White House, Libby Dean, thank you. We've got some trucks going by us right now. They've all got trailers. Some of them have some ATVs on the back. One truck, since we're right here by the Guadalupe River, has a boat behind it. So it looks like they may be dropping some boats here in the river momentarily to start the search and then head down the river. Jorge Ventura is also on the ground here surveying the devastation and the floods all week long. Jorge, tell us more about the search efforts right now and some of the debris areas that they're sifting through.
Well, Marni, good morning. Right now, the #1 priority is still trying to find anyone that is unaccounted for. So you still have U.S. Coast Guard. Yesterday, we continued to see U.S. Coast Guard helicopters, Border Patrol helicopters, as well as Texas DPS and Texas National Guard. And then you have the boats on the ground operation. So then you have the Horse Patrol of Border Patrol, Texas National Guard, Texas Task Force. It's really an all hands on deck from local, state, and federal officials to try to find any signs of life. But what I've been taken aback by also, Marni, is just the thousands of volunteers that have rushed to Kerrville, also assisting in those search and rescue operations. The biggest challenge, what officials tell me, is still the large piles of debris that they have to clear out, and also the heat now. One volunteer firefighter telling me that the first few days of the search, they did have those overcast skies, so it's keeping those temperatures low. But now with the heat, it is taking a toll on the first responders, but also creating a traumatic experience now when they come to recovering bodies with now body decomposition accelerating in the heat. I was able to briefly speak with the mayor of Kerrville, who's still asking the country for prayers. Take a listen.
There'll be so many more. It breaks my heart. It breaks the heart of everybody here. And we're doing everything we can to find them. Please pray for those who wait for news about their loved one. And please pray for those who help.
And Marni, I do want to show this memorial just right behind me here in downtown Kerrville, showing the photos and a tribute just to the victims and some of the people that are still unaccounted for. Many of these photos here, unfortunately, are children. You can see some of the signs saying Hill Country Strong. There's a poster that says River Angels. And it's still just very difficult for the community here to just grasp the reality of this tragedy and the people that lost their lives. These are loved members of the community, camp directors, folks that risked their own lives to save children. Some of those photos are actually family members, entire families swept away. And right now, we're starting to see more and more people, not only residents here in Kerrville, but across Texas and across the country coming, paying their respects. I met a couple, Marni, that drove all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, paid their respects, and then said they want to join the volunteer search and rescue teams. And when I asked them, why come to Kerrville? Why volunteer time and clear out debris and to look for bodies? And they say, we want to bring comfort to the families here. And people keep telling me, we are all Kerrville, Texas at this moment. Marni.
Yeah, it's incredible, Jorge, to hear these people. I mean, there's no complaining about the heat, the humidity, the bugs, and what they're out here doing. I mean, just every single morning they wake up and they want to get right back out there. We just had about 30 trucks show up to where we are, search teams getting the morning started, dropping boats in. We had a few fire and rescue guys as well showing up, so the search again continues. Jorge, thank you. Libby, I want to go back to you for a moment. A lot of rebuilding is going to have to happen in this area. That's going to be the next phase, and that will need a lot of money. What do we know about the federal government right now and what they're doing in terms financially to support this cleanup and then the rebuild?
A long road ahead for that rebuilding there on the ground there, Marni. But we know that President Trump has declared this major disaster declaration for Texas, which did make those federal funds available. But this is actually coming into full focus today. FEMA and this new reporting from the Trump administration, the shift we're seeing ahead of today's trip on messaging that the agency will likely face this restructuring rather than this all-out removal of the agency. And a White House official telling me this, and telling me this also in a statement that the President's FEMA Review Council will recommend to the President how FEMA may be reformed in ways that best serve the national interest. This statement goes on to say that adding supplementing those state actions does not replace those, or these federal actions does not replace those state actions, of course. Now, The FEMA Review Council met just last week. A White House official telling me that. And then come November, the council does plan to provide the president with these recommendations on how to improve FEMA. But this is certainly a shift, and this timing of this announcement is key. The president's going to face those questions, likely on the South Lawn in moments, about this shift in the Trump administration's messaging, that they don't want this all-out removal and abolishment of FEMA. Instead, they want to see a restructuring there. But we also saw this happening on the ground in Texas. Secretary Noem detailing the fact that they were assisting Governor Abbott, quickly letting state officials do what they needed to do, but also providing those federal resources. That's likely going to be the centerfold of President Trump's messaging today as well, Marni.
Yeah, he's going to wear several caps today. One, comforting the people in this region, and two, answering some tough questions about what's next, how we rebuild, and also prevention. We've got a couple of front loaders just showing up here. Jorge Ventura, Libby Dean, thank you. We'll be talking again soon. I want to welcome in now Courtney Garrison. She is the manager of the Hunt store. She escaped the floodwaters a week ago with her daughter. Courtney, I know you've had a lot of sleepless nights. I'm just glad you're okay. Thank you for being with us. We're in one of those RV parks that was completely washed away. Hunt's not too far from here. Let's just start by telling me about that morning. What woke you up? At what point did you know that you were in danger?
The electricity went off about 3, and I didn't really think a whole lot about it. I went back to bed, but I couldn't go back to sleep. I could hear stuff, noises underneath me. So about 4:30, I got up and I told Stella, my daughter, I'm going to go downstairs and just check it out, see what the noise is. And I opened my door to water.
Are you on a second level? So the water had already risen to the first level. Are you above the Hunt store?
Yes.
Okay. What'd you do then?
I got my daughter, I got my dog and my dog's life vest. And my daughter and I, we have a window that goes out of the bathroom onto the roof. So we got out onto the roof and sat up there.
So you stayed on the roof.
Yes,
how long?
My time is so skewed. I think about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that.
What's going through your mind at that point? How old's your daughter and what are you telling her?
She's 10. It was terrifying. We had conversations that you never thought ever that you would have with your child, your 10-year-old child. Mostly our conversation was, okay, you're okay? You good? Okay, we're good. The cop came, we could see him, he saw us, okay, we're good, he knows we're here. But once we started feeling the building collapse, the conversation turned to, okay, that tree up there to the left, if we get swept away, if we have to jump, whatever, try to get there.
Wow. Yeah. So the Hunt store is a place that we've heard, Courtney, a lot about. What is this store to the community? How long have you been there, and what's left? The president will see this today.
The store is absolutely everything to the community. I am a 4th-generation Hunt resident, born and raised. I've been the manager there for 1.5 years, and it is absolutely everything. I have no words for it.
There are no words for any of this. What do you hope the president's visit brings to you and so many in pain right now?
The help and relief that we need. Just the help and relief.
I mean, you just heard us talking about rebuilding. Is your head even there yet?
I am still having a hard time with it, and for my own personal self, for the Hunt store, I have no doubt that it is going to come back stronger and better and faster than anybody anticipates.
What has it meant for you? I find it overwhelming, the amount of support from people all across the state of Texas, from all across the country that have just showed up here in their truck, ready to help, roll up their sleeves.
It's been absolutely incredible. The first day, the response from just the immediate community was completely overwhelming. And then the next day that I came down here, I could not believe the amount of people and the amount of help and the willingness to be here and whatever we need.
Yeah, angels.
It's been incredible.
There is so much lost. Do you know people who are still missing? And how are you coping with that?
It's tough. It's still not sank in. It's only been a week. In the summertime too, you know, you see your friends sporadically, so it's not a immediate, oh, where are they? You know, and especially for the kids, once they get back to school and once the community gets back to just us, it's going to be very deeply felt.
Courtney, there are glimmers of hope, little slivers of light in all of this darkness, and one of them is the items that have been found at the Hunt store. I have to ask you about a ring that's been in your family for generations that as the waters rushed in, you thought it was lost. Come to find out, that was not the case.
Yeah, I thought it was gone, and the staff of the Hunt store had gathered to take a staff picture. Sorry. And one of my friends and her brother had walked around the back of the store where the back of my house is exposed, and he said he just looked down and it was like kind of in some mud, and he told me, he was like, I almost didn't pick it up, you know, whatever. And my friend Jessica brought it around the store, and I always told my daughter, if anything was to happen, if the house was to catch on fire, you know, we had to save special things, like that would be the one thing, because it meant so much to my mom. And that night I thought nothing about it. It never crossed my mind, not one time.
A miracle in the midst. Your mom watching over you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We really appreciate everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Take
doing.
care of yourself. Get some rest. You and your daughter. We appreciate everything that you're doing, and you're holding strong for your community.
Thank you so much.
Courtney Garrison from the Hunt store. All right, people like Courtney are going to need everybody's help. If you would like to offer your help and support, you can go to NewsNationNow.com/help. You can scan the QR code on your screen. We've got a full list of resources and organizations that are here on the ground and all across the country offering support. Soon, President Trump is expected to depart the White House. He will be heading right here to Texas in the disaster zone. We will have that for you live here on News Nation. We're also getting a clearer timeline of how this flooding unfolded. We're going to play brand new audio of dispatchers behind the scenes coming up nearly a week after search and rescue turns into recovery efforts. And so many organizations and volunteer groups have jumped in to help. We'll also be speaking with one of them next, live from Texas. Welcome back to a special edition of News Nation Live. We are on the ground in Kerr County, Texas. This is one of the hardest hit areas with this tragedy. There has been a lot of questions about the systems in place to warn people who live in these regions that flash flooding was coming in the middle of the night.
We still have water coming up. The Guadalupe Shoemaker sign is now underwater on Highway 39. Is there any way we can send a code red out to our Hunt residents asking them to find higher ground or stay home?
KXAN obtained this audio from a credible source of an Ingram volunteer firefighter calling a Kerr County Sheriff dispatcher at 4:22 a.m. Friday. Code Red is a notification system some agencies use to send emergency alerts to subscribers' cell phones.
We have to get that approved with our supervisor. Just be advised, we do have the Texas water rescue en route.
The timing of that request came more than 3 hours after the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning at 1:14 a.m. for a portion of the county, and around 20 minutes after the Federal Forecasting Agency warned of a flash flood emergency in the area at 4:03 a.m. It's still unclear how much later the first Code Red alert actually went out, as local officials have largely sidestepped related questions. One longtime Hill Country resident provided us with call recordings and text messages she said she received during the flood. The first was a text at 5:34 a.m. saying the NWS has received a flash flood warning for your location. Responding to Code Red concerns during a press event this week, Kerr County Sheriff Larry Latha said an after-action review would happen after recovery and notifying victims' families.
I know that's going to be asked over and over. Please understand that. You know, we're not running, we're not going to hide from everything. That's going to be checked into at a later time.
That was Josh Hinkle reporting with our News Nation station here in Texas, our affiliate KXAN. We're going to learn more in the coming weeks and months about the response. The main focus, though, right now is the grueling and critical work of these search teams. Desperate families are waiting hour after hour for word on the more than 160 people who are still missing. There are several groups of volunteers, more than we can even count, that have stepped up to help all week long. And one of those first responders that was the first to join the effort, the Cajun Navy. When disaster strikes, this group is always on the ground as fast as they can to offer their support and help. Joining us now is Kevin LaFond, United Cajun Navy Southern Region Commander. He is also in Kerrville helping with the search and recovery. Kevin, welcome back. You and I spoke earlier this week. How has the challenge of searching evolved as so much of the land has now dried out, but we've got these big debris piles? Tell me what you're facing.
Well, I tell you what we face each day. It's almost like the search starts anew every single day because the landscape is changing, water is receding, there's new areas to search, there's new information on other areas that need to be searched, and the things that we discover along the way lead us into the next day for the next day's planning. So every day is like starting again, but the complication to this is that you're going from narrowing down specific areas to other areas that are widening out and opening up other areas. So now teams are not only focusing closer in on areas that are near the station I'm at now, or moving out to other areas further away, sometimes up to 2.5 hours away, which is surprising, but it's true, and we're trying to find those people missing in that area as well.
And Kevin, being here and seeing these giant trees uprooted out of the ground, I mean, you guys are using equipment where you can, chainsaws where you can, bringing in heavy equipment if possible, but a lot of this is painstaking, really tedious work out in the heat. Tell me the things that you have found so far as each day progresses.
Well, what I found is that there is an incredible response here. This is, I think, the largest private response to this disaster in this area. We're all centered up here at Center Point Volunteer Fire Department with Chief Holt. He's been incredible. This is one of the most organized incident commands that I've seen in my years of doing this, and they're doing an outstanding job. They're letting us do our job well. In fact, we sometimes have in triplicate what we need. In this case, we've got 60 large excavators on standby, ready to roll into any area at any time, ready to go to pull out these bigger stumps, these bigger trees, but to do it in a very organized way where we thin the piles down from top down. It's kind of like archaeology, where you've got to be very careful how you're moving equipment, how you're moving dirt, how you're moving wood, trees, debris. But when we're out searching, the thing that really kind of pings in my heart is when you start seeing a child's blanket. The other day we came across, just wedged in the trees, a carved wooden heart with the word love just written on it, where it absolutely didn't belong. But it was a reminder to all of us just how personal that this was. Those personal effects that we are seeing out there don't always lead to something, but they definitely remind us why we're there in the first place.
And Kevin, there are countless families and friends waiting for you to find loved ones. So my best to you. God bless as you guys head out there and continue the search today. Kevin LaFond with the United Cajun Navy. You guys are our angels. President Trump is headed to Texas today. He will get to see all of this devastation firsthand, what we can expect from his visit, and also what the community needs to hear from the comforter and chief as they mourn the loss of more than 120 people here in Texas.
I woke up about 3 o'clock like I always do, and then I noticed my mama called and left a message, and then 2 texts from my brothers, and then nothing. We knew they were gone. They had any way to get to a phone. We'd heard from them by now.
They would have already called.
They're gone. they're in heaven.
Live on the ground in the hardest hit parts of Texas.
That is how they're finding food. That's how they're finding it.
1 week after catastrophic flooding.
Oh my God.
A community now changed forever.
We're walking up and down the river, just searching for things that might have been missed.
This morning, stories of hope. Of people coming together.
If something happens in our town, people from out here will drive to us and come help us out. It's the way it works in Texas.
And so many now wondering what's next. A special edition of News Nation Live starts now. And good morning once again from Kerrville, Texas. I'm Marni Hughes. This is a special edition of News Nation Live. In just a short time, President Trump and the First Lady will be on the ground here in Texas's Hill Country alongside several Texas leaders. We're going to be talking to them later this morning about this visit and the message that the president wants to get across, as so many here are hurting and grieving. On the agenda, a tour of the damage, a briefing from local officials, and also the president will be involved in a roundtable with local authorities. We'll bring all of that to you right here on News Nation as it happens in the hours ahead. This visit also comes a week after those racing floodwaters ripped through so many of these communities in Hill Country, including the Blue Oaks RV Park, which is where we are this morning. They lost hundreds of people impacted in this area along this road, and they have rebuilding ahead. Lorena Guillen owns this park. She joins us this morning. Lorena, thank you so much, one, for giving us a place to be this morning and to see this. A moment ago, I was saying there's nothing here. Concrete slabs is all that is left. What did this look like a week ago?
It was paradise. It was a little piece of heaven on earth. That's what it was. Beautiful green areas, a lot of big, huge trees everywhere, RV parks. You know, my residents were here long-term stay. They've been here for years with me since the beginning. They've been it was just an amazing, tight neighborhood per se, and we all knew each other. We all had coffee together. They all came to the restaurant, and we just had a great time.
How many people, Lorena, lived here permanently?
We had 28 long-term stay, and I had a few more scheduled in to come in and stay for a few months.
And did you also have people here for the holiday, for the 4th of July, so there were more than normal?
Yes, we had 5 weekenders staying over there, and of course we had a lot more coming on the 4th of July in the morning.
How many are still unaccounted for or have been found from your community?
We lost 4 from my RV park. They have found the parents, but they had not found their children yet.
We're up on the deck where everybody would gather to eat. How far did the water come to this area as we look out and just see everything sideways? Where was the water?
Over there.
We'd be in water right now.
Yes.
This was underwater?
Yes. At this point, it was about 2 feet.
Okay, and we're on a second level deck.
Yeah, you're about 40, 45 feet from the river.
And how quickly, describing those, could you see how it was rising? You watched it.
Oh my goodness, yes. By the time I got here, it was about 10 feet high already. And within a matter of 20 minutes, it went all the way up here.
So what's happening at that point? Are you able to communicate with people? Is it a scurry? Are people still sleeping?
Some were still sleeping. Some were walking up by the rescue team that we had. They're specialized in water rescue. One of my RVs guests were already underwater, and one of my residents heard the screams, and they called 911, and they came here running, tried to help them. And when we saw the lights, we ran downstairs, and I started banging on people's doors, waking them. The lower level, the RVs were already getting washed away, And so my husband went into the water trying to help the family that was stranded.
Were you guys able to reach anybody in those moments?
I was just focusing on getting my residents out of here and accounting for everybody that was here and remembering who wasn't here, who had the night shift, or another resident was visiting his grandmother. So I knew who was here and who wasn't.
Yeah. Right now, we just moved locations. We were a little bit closer to the river. Teams have shown up again. You said immediately after the waters receded and things started to dry out, they searched this area, but they're back here today. What did they tell you that they're doing?
Well, there is a lot of gravel, and I know because some of my friends are part of the rescue teams, so there is a lot of things buried underneath that gravel. And I know they have the dogs, like, you know, the search dogs, but because of the water and the gravel, it's very difficult for them to find. But this is the main access point to get down the river because this is very difficult access, and that is where they're focusing on because there was a pile of about 40 or 50 cars, a pile up in one single mountain per se, and there were a lot of cars. They already pulled out over 52 cars out of here so far.
Wow. And people were trapped in their cars, many as they were going down the river. The president, you heard a moment ago, he's going to be here in a few hours. He's waited a week to give this some time for the searches to happen. What does it mean to you and your community to have him here to be able to see this firsthand?
Well, we're very hopeful that he's here. We're praying that he can, once he sees the devastation, you know, he's going to push the right authorities to obviously to start helping us. Because, you know, we have employees, we have bills to pay their due now, you know, and hopefully he'll see that. And the rescue teams are focused on the river, but everybody that was affected now upriver is who we need help. This community survives based on that river access. We're a tourist community.
How will you rebuild? Are you able to think about that yet?
Actually, we have the last couple of days, my husband and I trying to have a little coffee in the morning and look out. That's my house right there.
Yeah.
Look out our deck and think about how can we make it safer? How can we make it? Because obviously, after losing that family, we're not going to allow anybody to stay that closer to the water. So how can we build it better? I'm lucky that he's an engineer. He's a Texas A&M Aggie, and his family is full of engineers and architects, so we're very blessed for that. So we're thinking about how can we build it, because the Guadalupe River, at the end of the day, is one of the most beautiful rivers in Texas.
Yeah, no, it's a gorgeous part of the country. Yes. People will come back, and you'll be here to welcome them.
Yes.
Finally, Lorena, just how are you doing emotionally? This is a lot. This is a lot for you to bear.
It is, and the support and the help of the community of my friends has been absolutely very overwhelming. So I'm very, very thankful for everybody that has been here. And, you know, they're coming to the restaurant, and we were able to open it after somebody gave us a propane tank because ours got washed away. And just seeing them, that they're okay, you know, and hugging them, and it's been fantastic.
There's a lot of heart around here.
Oh, my God.
And that includes you. Lorena, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Your howdy hat. People will be back, and you'll be saying howdy and welcome back.
Absolutely.
Soon.
Please.
But God bless you, and thank you for allowing us to be here.
Oh, no. People need to see this, and you guys are the only ones sharing that information. So thank you for being here.
Lorraine, take care of you.
Thank you.
All right, right now these rescue teams have the grueling task of recovering the remains of the missing victims. It's hard to wrap your mind around how many are still unaccounted for. Texas officials vow they will not stop searching until they find every single one of these people. And while the countless people from around the country are assisting with that, Team Rubicon is deploying their veteran-led crews to help clear debris as well. Here now is Jeff Mashburn, site leader for Team Rubicon. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. It's a daunting task, hard to even know where to start with some of these massive piles of debris. Just take me through the challenges you and your team are facing right now.
Yeah, so thank you for taking the time, and thank you for letting us come on and tell our story a little bit. So, you know, when you show up to a disaster zone or disaster site, the first thing is, like you're saying, just untangling the mess. People, their livelihood, everything in their life is just jumbled in piles, and it's up to us to start to make sense of those piles and try to give people one glimmer of hope in a terrible position in their life. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're out assessing the damage, assessing where we can bring our capabilities to bear, and hopefully we can get to work and get people on the road to recovery.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to put you on hold for just a second. Thank you so much. Stick around. I want to go now to the White House. President Trump just a moment ago on his way to Texas, speaking to reporters as he gets ready to survey the damage.
Without a dam break, you'd think a dam would have to break to have it. So it's a terrible thing, but we're going to be there with some of the great families and others, the governor, everybody is going to be there. Maybe at some point I'll talk to him. Right now, I'm not. They're treating President Bolsonaro very unfairly. He's a good man. You know, I know him well. I negotiated with him. He was a very tough negotiator, and I can tell you he was a very honest man, and he loved the people of Brazil. He was a very tough guy to negotiate with. I shouldn't like him because he was very tough in negotiation, but he was also very honest. And I know the honest ones, and I know the crooked ones. We're going to see. It was sent yesterday. They called. I think it was fairly well received. It's what we need. So we'll see what happens.
Russian drones hit a maternity hospital in Ukraine overnight.
I know. You'll be seeing things happen.
Now that you've got a big step, are you planning on delivering any type of help for undocumented families that lost everything including their children?
I think we've done very well on immigration. We were given a very bad hand by Biden. He allowed 25 million people to come in totally unchecked, unvetted. We're getting the criminals out, and we're getting them out fast. The courts have ultimately done the right thing. Amazingly, they've really done the right thing, and they understand it's really the survival of our country. It's a very important thing. We can't have like 11,888 murderers. And, you know, something that you should have that you haven't reported. As you know, 300,000 children are missing, right? 300,000 under Biden. We've already gotten back 10,000 of those children, and we have a lot more planned to come back. We're getting them back by the thousands. But 300,000, and we've, as of this morning, over 10,000 we've gotten back.
What is your advice to countries worldwide ahead of the upcoming tariff deadline?
Oh, I think just keep working hard. You know, we've been taken advantage of for many, many years by countries, both friend and foe. And frankly, the friends have been worse than the foes in many cases. So I would say just keep working. It's all going to work out. I think he's doing a terrible job. I think we should be, I think we should be 3 points lower interest rate. He's costing our country a lot of money. We should be #1, and we're not. And that's because of Jerome Powell. In terms of interest, we are #1 in the world. Look, I'll tell you a little simple language. 1 year ago, our country was a dead country. We were going nowhere except down. We were the laughing stock all over the world. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're #1 everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that's all they're talking about is our country. 1 year ago it was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Thank you.
All right, right now you can see President Trump getting on board Air Force One, and he will be en route momentarily here to Texas. We are on the ground live in Kerr County, and the president and the first lady will be able to see the devastation for themselves. We're being told they'll make a number of stops. There will be a roundtable as he will meet with local officials here on the ground, some of the first responders. But it's something that you have to see with your own eyes. I mean, the power of Mother Nature, the force of this water, the trees that are sideways, the land that has essentially just been cleared of anything that was here before. It really is tough to describe and to put into words. So the president, it's important as comforter in chief, that's something we hear a lot when presidents make these trips, to show up here and offer encouragement, offer support, offer hope for the future, how the federal government will help. This will all have to be rebuilt. I spoke with Lorena Guillen a moment ago, who is the owner of this Blue Oak RV park. She's sitting on her deck, which is the only structure that's left here, looking out over the horizon of the nothingness that is now her backyard, planning how she rebuilds and how she welcomes people back to this region. I want to bring back Jeff Mashburn, site leader for Team Rubicon. Jeff, thank you for staying with us. Your team is sifting through these debris piles. I spoke with a volunteer yesterday who said that they're cataloging items, personal items, and it pulled at my heart when he said there are items from campers. You know, when you send your kid to camp, they write their name in all of their clothing or on anything that belongs to them, and they're finding items from some of these camps that belong to campers. Tell me about some of the things your team is finding, how you're cataloging that, and how you're saving and preserving what you can.
So right now our team is primarily engaged in just setting the conditions. Our team is getting mostly on the ground today. We've had a couple people here for the last couple days working with the Volunteer Resource Center, taking incoming calls and trying to start getting the idea of where we need to go first. We will be, as we've done reconnaissance and as we've driven around the area, we've definitely seen that the destruction and devastation is complete and total, kind of like you were just saying. Stuff that was there, 2 weeks ago is not there anymore. And so, but it is part of our job or part of our duties as we go out in and do disaster relief to be very, very cognizant and very respectful of the way that we handle people's personal belongings, because you never know if that person's personal belongings, that person is still with us or not. You don't know what the status of the family is. You don't know anything about that. So we, what may not look important to somebody, whether it be a memento cup from a vacation or something along those lines, we always try to be extremely respectful of people's property and try to return it as much as we can within our capabilities to get it to the right owners, so that they can again begin their process of recovery.
Right. It might be that one memento that's all they have left. The terrain is difficult out here. I mean, we talk about everything being cleared. It was muddy and now it has dried out. How does that complicate or at least change the search effort and the way that you all are able to sift through everything?
So as far as the search effort, we're not involved too much in searching for stuff. As more we go and we work with the individual homeowners to help get their houses ready or their structures ready. And so we go in and we remove drywall, remove carpeting, remove water damaged furniture and all that kind of stuff. What the drying of the ground has done is make it so that as we're walking to the houses, we're not sinking. There was a couple days ago where we were still sinking into 2 or 3, 4 feet of mud. But as the ground dries, it allows us to actually provide better services and better opportunities to help homeowners recover.
Insurance will be a question. I mean, it's a question now for a lot of people, but it will be down the road. I mean, how much is salvageable from these homes that you're going in? When you talk about water damage, I mean, a lot of the items in the house are ruined, but the structure itself, what do you do in these moments to best preserve as much as you can?
It's a process of a lot of the people that we end up working with are not covered by insurance, unfortunately, and so any help that they can get, they're more than happy to receive. As far as like the destruction that we're seeing, there are some homes that will be, unfortunately, no one's ever going to go back and live in those homes. Some of the homes that we've seen in other events like this, whether it's been Hurricane Beryl in Houston, or some of the stuff from Hurricanes Helene and Milton over last fall and winter. Some of the homes will be able to get some of the stuff out, and then professional contractors or whatever will come in behind us and repair the homes as best as possible. The bottom line is these people's lives, unfortunately, will never be the same. Their homes will never be the same. And again, we just appreciate the opportunity to be that one bright spot in a terrible, terrible point in their lives.
Well, you guys are amazing. Jeff, thank you for what you're doing, and to your entire team. Be safe as you go through this important work, and we appreciate you giving us some time.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
If you would like to help, you can go to newsnationnow.com/help. You can also scan the QR code on your screen for a full list of resources and organizations offering support. As Jeff mentioned, a lot of people don't have insurance. They're going to need all the support and help they can get. We'll be right back here on NewsNation Live.
I mean, it's heartbreaking to see all this, you know, but when it comes to the families, you know, I cannot bear, I have a daughter, so I can't bear to think of like my daughter going missing and then me finding her. So I'm just hoping that we can find as many people as possible so the families aren't the ones who have to see their family members like that. And just for them to get that closure, you know.
As you watch these floods in Texas, I think so many of us at some point in the last week, you put yourself in their shoes and what it would be like to be missing someone or to have lost someone. So many heroes are showing up to help the first responders. This is a massive effort. More than 160 people still this morning, a week later, are missing. And everyone here, from the Texas Governor Greg Abbott to volunteers you meet, say one thing, that we can't stop and we won't stop until we find everyone. That's amazing to look at that guy on horseback in rushing river water. They are searching as well from the skies and on foot, combing through debris and mud. Joining us now is Jeremy Locke from Aerial Recovery. This is an international organization helping during disaster. Jeremy, thank you. Tell me about your group. You've got about 5 here. You've got more coming. You guys are from Nashville. What are you doing and how are you helping?
Yeah, so after events like this, we normally respond within the 24, 48 hours, but coming from Nashville, you know, initially it was flooding, right? We figured it'd be handled on it, but after we started seeing all the reports coming in, we knew we had to get out here. So I brought a team out here. We're working just only about a mile upstream from here, and like you said, there's 160 people still missing, and the mission today, and as it's been for the last few days, is quickly find those that are missing so we can provide relief and comfort to the families and loved ones of the missing.
So it's in your name, Aerial. Are you guys looking using drones? How are you searching?
I mean, we have drones, but right now the capability that we've been asked to bring is command and control. So we have a mobile operations center. We're printing maps out and getting grids up and communications with Starlink. So really when my group goes somewhere, I'm a former Special Forces Green Beret. Most of my team are special operators. So we just come in, tell our capability, and then we fit in where they need us. So right now that's what we're doing is really just trying to help streamline and just make things more efficient and productive.
After a disaster, each one is different, but how is this one challenging just in scope?
So the real difficult part about it is, yeah, there's a lot of excavators out of here. There's a ton of volunteers. I just did a briefing with 150 volunteers, and 80% of those are from outside of this area. So, you know, these terrible events, it's actually kind of beautiful to see the humanity in it, all the Americans that come step up for fellow Americans. So it is really inspiring that way. But going and searching along these banks, you can't just pick up and move the debris because we're searching for, unfortunately, the remains of individual and people. So you have to go layer by layer. We literally have hundreds of people online putting sticks in, and what you're really poking for is trying to get in there and get a loft of a smell. And that's kind of how we're doing. So it's really slow work. It's difficult work. The volunteers out there yesterday, they found They found some remains yesterday. We expect to find some today. We hope we find some today just so we can help those families out like I mentioned before.
Yeah, and with the heat, the dogs are pretty critical and able to sniff out and kind of alert you guys. How are they working on some of these debris piles?
I'm glad you brought that up too, because one of the capabilities, if people are wondering, or if there's volunteers or groups kind of like Aerial Recovery that maybe haven't decided to come out, cadaver dogs are very much needed out here right now. So that's a resource. Even at the site we're working, we don't have those, so we have to request them to come in. So that's really big. But whenever we get a positive mark, that's when you need to bring the dog in, because the dog can identify what that smell is, because, you know, there's animals, deer, there's all fish, there's all sorts of, not just humans that lost their lives out here, unfortunately.
Yeah. Put into words, if you can, what it's like to be out there and see this all with your own eyes. Just the mass destruction and the pain.
Yeah, I mean, the pain is, it's difficult, because even in the groups of the volunteers that are out there, some of them are ones that have lost their family. One of the landowners really close to where we're at, just the neighbor, he lost his wife and grandkid, and he's still out there trying to help volunteers go. So there's a lot of, I've seen this with other disasters, is in that tragic moment, some of these people really need purpose, and those volunteers that are coming out here being like, I don't know what I can do, just coming and praying for someone, just bringing a little bit of hope really goes a long ways out here. But it's incredible to see. To me, the first impression was the water line, like how far up these banks these are, how far up on buildings, how far up in trees, and just to think that came in 35 minutes, it's incredible, and it must have been terrifying for those that were in the
yeah,
flooding.
I was pointing out, like, even on the trees behind us, you can see where the bark has been rubbed off. I mean, that's how high the water was as it rushed through. Jeremy, what's the need now? I mean, we're a week into this search effort. The last survivor was found a week ago. Is there the hope that as the water has receded, things dry out, that we're getting closer to bringing these families closure?
I would say it's going to be at least another week from what I'm seeing of searching, because even when you go over somewhere, you don't quite know. Sometimes you got to go back and do it. But if people want to want to help, I mean, groups like Aerial Recovery, if you go to aerialrecovery.org, we are a nonprofit. We're out here with support like that. But just prayers for people out here. If you don't think that you can do, just come out here, bring some water, talk to people around the area, and they'll point you in the right direction to be able to come help. But there's definitely not a time to not think that you can be a blessing to these people out here.
Yeah, well, you're a blessing. Thanks for everything you're doing. Please give our best to your team. Jeremy Locke, appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you very much.
All right, if you'd like to help, as Jeremy mentioned, NewsNationNow.com/help, where you can scan the QR code on your screen. We've got a lot of ways and resources and organizations that are offering support in this time of need. We're also taking some time this morning to feature all of the heroes here on News Nation Live, including my next guest, donating their time, their equipment, their energy to help their neighbors. That's coming up. You're watching News Nation Live special coverage from Texas. I want you to meet a couple now that I got to know earlier this week. One of the many heroes in Hill Country, Bud Bolden and Katie Saunders, made it out of this RV park in Kerrville, getting to higher ground just moments to spare. But the couple did have to watch helplessly as their home and their neighbors' homes were swept away.
All those tiny homes next door just destroyed a whole RV park. Every RV just go on. Kids are screaming inside the RV and they're getting washed away. Look at this, trees.
They had no warning. The floodwaters that morning rising 26 feet in less than an hour. Their home destroyed. Thankfully, Bud and Katie are safe, and they're here with us now. When we spoke earlier this week, I said, when I get here, I want to meet you guys. Yes. And here you are. I'm so glad to see you in person. I can't imagine what this place looked like, but this was your home a week ago. Tell me where your home was and what this looked like.
Right behind us. Yeah. It was a beautiful place. I mean, and I've worked this river right through here for these 3 RV parks for years with my own heavy equipment, just river working and conservation work and things like that. And it was a gorgeous place to live, and a lot of families enjoyed this place, and it was just a little paradise stuck back here in the hill country, you know, and you know, you can see it now. It's not now, you know. It's all changed, and you know.
You know, Bud, where we're standing right now, there was water. Where were you all when you heard your neighbors helpless being washed downstream?
We were just right up here. We just got high enough. We barely got our vehicles out in time and just went to higher ground.
Tell me about the people that you all have lost, to honor them.
Well, I didn't lose anybody personally, but just like the people I got coming up to me, it's my friend down there. He lost his mom and dad next door. They just found his dad day before yesterday. And it's people coming up to me saying, hey, bud, I lost my aunt, I lost my uncle, I lost this, I lost that, I lost the family of 5. And it adds up to about 27 people that people have come up to me and said, I've lost that family, I lost these people. And so it's neighbors, yeah, and neighbors that we saw. We really didn't lose anyone personal that we actually interacted with on a daily basis, but it was through other people that they have lost their loved ones, you know. And of course, we saw a lot of devastation. We saw a lot of people. We saw kids floating. There was kids in RVs floating, you know, and power's still on because it was pulled loose from the power cord, but it was still powered by the batteries, so the lights were on as they were floating away, and you could see kids in them. And then whether they come from here or where they come from, I don't know. Maybe they come from that RV park because they lost a lot of people next door to us. So, you know, it's just having to witness all that and hear those screams of those babies. Like I was telling you, Katie, I mean, I don't care about all the possessions and stuff. It's closure for these families and the grieving. There's the ones that are really hurting and grieving when they lost their babies. And
so many in pain, but you also can't see and unhear what you did.
Absolutely,
I mean, that's with you forever. Seeing it now, I mean, we've got crews working to clear some of the debris. They're continuing to search here. What's it like to look out at the nothingness that was your home?
What do you say? What do you say? I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's like, I mean, we're still numb from all this. We haven't acknowledged our own losses, you know. It's not our possessions we care about. It's those hurting families, you know, and the lack of and the failures that could have been done. The river conservation work that doesn't get done. It needs to be done on this river desperately because I've done so many years of river conservation work on this river, and it's, you know, there's so much they could have done. The sirens they talk about putting up, how expensive they are, they're not that expensive. It doesn't take much to drill you a hole in the ground, pour you some concrete, and put you a 40-foot pole, and put you a megaphone, and put your water monitor up there, and put one every mile. Anything. If you can save one life, there's no dollar amount you can put on there.
I know you've been sad and now frustrated as well.
Now
you know,
I'm angry.
You're angry. As you look out at this, we hear about 100-year floods, but you said you pulled an RV out of this river a year ago, so that the danger was here, the threat was here.
It always floods. It's been doing this way for 200 years. This ain't nothing new. Like I said, this is nothing new to this county or the state. This was just the worst of them. Yeah, we pulled them a bunch out last year. The river started getting up. But you got to do river conservation work on rivers, especially on ones that's so crowded like this one with campers and stuff. It takes conservation work to keep a river flowing correctly. And any conservation work you do with heavy equipment on these rivers before these floods helps tremendously, because I've done this my whole life. I've lived in this river right here. Me and my son know this river better than anybody in the hill country. I guarantee it. We live on this river, and this is what we do. This is what we do. It's not a wall of water. They call it walls of water. It's a staircase of water when you receive floods. It don't come down in one big wall. It rises, and you can see another staircase, and you can see another staircase. That's how it does. It's a staircase of flowing water that just builds and builds and builds and builds. There's always things you can do. There's always warnings you can give. There's always more that could have been done. And this being the 4th of July weekend, they should have been up on their game, on top of their game. You got a lot of people's lives at stake.
First
a lot of people's lives.
Got was an hour after everything was gone.
That's when we got our alert. Yes,
Well, mine. You didn't.
I didn't even get one. We're standing right over there with our vehicles. We got our vehicles out and we done watched all these tiny homes. We done watched 85 homes right here, tiny homes and RVs, take off that direction. and walled up in a 300-mile stretch right down there, 300-yard stretch. That's where all these RVs and homes are right down there in those woods.
President Trump's on his way. He'll be here shortly. He has said in the last 24 hours, you know, maybe there is a need for sirens, a better alert system. When he's here today, what questions would you have for him? What would you ask of him to do, to say, to see?
Well, just like tornado sirens, you just put one every mile, and it doesn't cost, it's pennies on the dollar to put one in, to install one. You're not talking very little bit of construction. You're not talking anything major expenses to put one in. Like I said, I can dig you a pier hole and stand you a 40-foot column, put you a megaphone on top of that for $6,500. You wire it in and you hook it all up and put you a river monitor at the very first headwaters, past Mystic Camp up there, to monitor this river all by itself. And when it hits that certain level, they automatically go off. It's not rocket science. It's just nothing was ever done to this river. No money was spent.
Well, I know you guys are going to rebuild. I know your hearts are big and you're here for your community. Bud and Katie, God bless you both. It's so nice to see you in person. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love.
Thank you for y'all coming down. Thank you, and thank you for all the support. I mean, it takes warriors like you to hit the front line, just like it takes us to be on the front line.
You guys take care of you. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks for coming down. I appreciate you.
All right, y'all.
I'll keep watching.
All right.
You're my favorite. Don't quit.
Amazing stories, and it is it's a mix of sadness and emotion and frustration because no one wants to see this happen again. 27 young campers and staffers died at Camp Mystic, and now we are also learning that Texas inspectors approved an emergency plan for the camp just days before the flood. So why wasn't everyone able to get out ahead of time, like Bud was talking about? We're going to take a closer look at that camp, what went wrong, and what we can do better next.
I'll shout it from the mountaintops, praise God. I want my world to know the Lord above has come to me. I want to pass it on. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Texas, New Mexico, and Illinois, what do they have in common? Well, all three of these states have seen record-breaking floods just in the past week, two of them turning deadly. Here in Texas, the community of Kerrville is mourning its losses as people try to start to rebuild their lives. Today marks a week since that devastating and historic flood swept through the swelling of the Guadalupe River. As of now, at least 120 people in the Hill Country have lost their lives. 96 of those deaths are in Kerr County, where we are. More than 160 others remain missing. And among those, 5 campers and a counselor from Camp Mystic located in Hunt. In the early hours of July 4th, the Guadalupe River swelled nearly 30 feet in less than 90 minutes. That's the height of a 2-story school building.
Oh, there comes a house.
Oh my gosh, y'all look.
Oh no. Oh no. In New Mexico, crews are now working to clear debris and so much damage after flooding in that region as well. And flooding in in Illinois has also been traced over the last couple of days. This is the scene in New Mexico as a home was washed down the river. Officials there warning it's going to take some time to restore the infrastructure and the utilities in that area. And then, as I mentioned, in Illinois, in Chicago, this is rare flash flooding that's now being described as a 1-in-500-year event. That storm prompted several water rescues as the slow and soaking rain poured down on the city Tuesday night. Flash flooding has always been a summertime threat, but risks appear to be evolving, and forecasters say that rain patterns are shifting. That means that more communities could face extreme rain events in the years ahead, which begs the question, what area could be next? Here with us now is Craig McLean, retired NOAA Assistant Administrator for Research, preparing for the what's next as we still try to grapple with the reality that is here in Texas. Craig, where do we start to prepare and to set up ways that we can prevent this similar type of tragedy?
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me. I think it is truly a deep tragedy, and unfortunately, we learn lessons from tragedies in order to try and prevent them the next time around. So your question is an excellent one. Where we might look next? Where should we look next? And I think throughout America, we are familiar with extreme weather, tornadoes, flash floods, drought, many components. And this can happen anywhere where there is water and where there are hills that drain the water. You might see 3 inches of rain in one particular area, and if it's on a flat plain, that's 3 inches that might drift and drain down a slope. But if you're on a hill, it's going to accumulate and potentially backflood in up, as we have seen here in the river. One of the easiest ways to prepare is NOAA weather radio. Here is for $25 a radio that can have a signal that alerts any citizen of an alarm, of an emergency. You can leave it on and continually hear the weather. That might be distracting, but you could set it to an alarm frequency that will go off and tell you when a flash flood or hurricane warning or tornado warning is upon you. They're inexpensive. And the best of my information is that in Kerrville, there is a radio tower that NOAA installed after the 1987 floods there that took, I believe it was 10 lives at the time. So we have to learn from these events and be prepared for the next one. Everyone should prepare. Everyone can prepare.
So go out and get one of those. Craig, I think one question that's been hard to answer, but you've been able to articulate this, is how did so much water, so much rain rise so quickly in this area? I mean, this RV park where I was, we're talking 30 feet of water. I'm on a second level deck and the water was above where I am right now. The perfect storm recipe for disaster. I mean, what happened with this particular system in this area to cause this catastrophe?
I think you did have something analogous to a perfect storm. There have been several events similar to this that have taken place over the past century, and the scientific community studies these to try and better be able to forecast their formulation. So here we have the very, very warm water of the Gulf of Mexico. It's heated up because of climate change. Now, climate change is real. We do know that. It is not a political theme. It is real science. The Gulf of Mexico, the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific, it's all warming. The planet is warming. When the water warms, it increases the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. So for every degree centigrade that the water temperature goes up, and you could see where the water temperature has gone up in the Gulf of Mexico, that's 7% more moisture load in the atmosphere. And when that comes down, that's 7% more rain than you would have had for a normalized temperature. Well, today's normalized temperature is not yesterday's. It's increasing. And what we need to realize is we had a degraded tropical storm that came across the country of Mexico and the peninsula, and it brought a lot of moisture from the Pacific, plus the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico being entrained into this storm system. And there was a blocking weather front that wouldn't allow the system to move along. We're used to seeing squall lines just come and go, drop the rain and keep moving to the northeast in this area, most typically. But here, that blocking front caused it to stay, to linger, to continue to pump water into that area. Now, why does it flood so quickly? More rain coming down in an area that might have had a normalized expectation of flooding. But with all that extra water and the fact that we're in hill country, the hill channels the water from adjacent streams and adjacent runoff. And the downstream flow was exceptional, was catastrophic, because that much water is not typically seen in this area. But we've used terms like 100-year flood. There are places where 500-year floods are happening twice in a decade, which gives us the very strong signal that things are changing here. We can't deny the causes, which is more drought, deeper drought, drier soil that doesn't absorb the water, because we've been in a drought state, particularly in this region, but so much of the country is in drought. So we need to be attentive to these signals. They constitute what is called a cascading climate disaster, where the drought doesn't allow water absorption. The excessive heat of both the water and the atmosphere dumps more rain. And then we see also, if you apply that to whether it's hill country or not too far from where I am, just outside of Washington, D.C., we also have an infrastructure challenge in this nation, because most of the drain pipes and infrastructure we have built were built for the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. And when we have today's rainfall in these areas, the conduits can't take the rain away fast enough. And there was, not far from my home, there was a drowning in a low-lying apartment where a elder couldn't get out in time because the water conduit couldn't evacuate the water that was accumulated and rose to a point of travesty.
Wow. Well, Craig, thank you. I mean, I think we have to listen to what you're saying carefully, and we have to act on it. We can't ignore these warnings. We have to use the information that we have at hand to lessen the risk in the future. And it sounds like because of everything that you said, we're more prone to it in the future. Get those weather radios and get the word out. Craig McLean, thank you so much for your time twice this week. I appreciate you helping us understand the why of these events.
Thank you, and certainly my heart is with the people of Texas. Thank you.
God bless. All right, President Trump is expected to be here in Texas within the next half an hour or so. He'll get a firsthand look at the deadly destruction left over from this flood, what we can expect from his visit, who he'll be talking to, including a representative who will join us next from Texas.
You know, I'm glad they're coming because we need help, and we'll continue to need help. So we're just hoping that they're coming here to do that, you know, to give us some encouragement that we'll be seen through this.
And that is the painstaking part of all of this as well, the time it will take to rebuild here in Texas Hill Country. All eyes are going to be on President Trump and the First Lady today. They will be here on the ground in Kerr County shortly, and they will tour this damage firsthand. They'll also talk to the people directly impacted, from the survivors to the volunteers to the search and rescue teams. This is a time when the commander-in-chief becomes the comforter-in-chief. I'm joined now by Texas Congressman Michael Cloud. You'll be part of today's roundtable with the president. What will be the focus of these discussions?
Well, we came here Wednesday, and one of the important things that I was asking was just to make sure that the federal response was what it needed to be in supporting what was going on state and locally managed. And what I heard was a resounding yes. And so that's important. I know the president's going to have those same sort of questions when he's coming here, just to make sure that we're doing from the federal standpoint what's needed to support the great work that, you know, I'm sure you've seen, the volunteers that are coming out, but also the state resources and the local resources that are here that's doing the tremendous work of recovery here. You and I were just talking before we came on camera about the need down the road, right? It's so quickly folks turn the page, the next disaster happens. What will you and your colleagues be doing to make sure that the right amount of attention for the right amount of time is paid to Texas to get everybody through this as long as it takes? Yeah, that's one of the things I think that's important for us to remember. So many people are asking how we can help, and the initial surge of help is extremely important. I mean, we're still looking for people right now, and I have friends who are out there actually with the dogs trying to find people. But we, you know, as this gets out of the highlight and spotlight here over the next few weeks, these people are going to be rebuilding their lives and their families for quite some time. And so from a volunteer standpoint, us continuing to do and support and donate and all those different kind of things. And then, of course, we'll be looking at what resources are needed down the stretch and how to best get that to where it needs to go. There are some tough conversations happening around mitigating flood risk, conservation along the river, warnings, sirens, whatever is necessary to prevent these tragedies. What will be the focus and priority of that discussion today with the president to make sure that prevention is a factor? I'm sure there's going to be some lessons learned. I spoke with a family whose home was swept away, and although the warnings were going out, they didn't hear them because they were asleep and because of when it happened. And their first warning was really their shed had floated up and hit their wall several times. And if it wasn't for that, they probably would have not been able to get to safety. And even they ended up clinging to some trees, and that's how that couple survived and made it through. Tragically, their neighbors did not. And so whether or not there's some sort of early warning system to where when the river hits a certain level, you know, like a tornado alarm would go off or something, to where we're not relying on a radio or a TV news thing or even a text message that, you know, people have their phones on silent or whatever, you know. So a lot of the tragedy was when this hit, and it's sad to see that that's one of the reasons many people miss the messages that were going out. Yeah, middle of the night, people are sleeping, a recipe for disaster. The president will get to see this firsthand, and I was saying to you a moment ago, you have to see it with your own eyes to see what was lost, what was taken. What was your first impression when you got to this community and looked around? Yeah, it's, you know, when you're flying in, and we came up with the Coast Guard team a couple days ago, and it's a beautiful part of Texas, and then you get to the river and you just see the devastation along the river, and just seeing the trees, that super tall, strong trees that are completely uprooted and gone down. Just looking at where the bark has been removed on these trees, you can see just how high the water was in pushing this down. Seeing entire houses swept away from foundations, it was pretty dramatic what had happened. And then talking to the families who are, trying to make sense of it all at this moment and get their lives back. It's impacting everyone here, and then the heroism too of the people who are, so many of the people in the city and community here are working the recovery process while they're personally affected as well. They have friends and loved ones who are affected or maybe have lost their lives in this tragedy, but yet they're still here doing the hard work of recovery and rebuilding.
Big-hearted volunteers. Texas has a lot of love to spread, and they need it right now. Representative, thank you so much for your time. My best to you today as you meet with the president and so many others to assess this and help us for next time.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for being out.
So a big day for President Trump. He will be here, as we've mentioned, to tour this firsthand, give comfort, give hope, give support for the more than 120 lives lost. Some of them are young kids, and their families are grieving this unimaginable loss, and we're thinking about them today. And it's something that we've seen here on the ground since we've gotten here. People desperate for a way to help through the flood, through bringing equipment, donations, whatever they can do. They say they are Texas strong, and they are right. Our special coverage here on News Nation as we await the president's arrival here in Texas Hill Country coming up. We'll be right back.
Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday. I'm Kelly Beeson, in today for Nicole Burley. We begin with News Nation's Marni Hughes, continuing our special coverage of the deadly flash flooding in Texas. Marni.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm live here in Kerrville, Texas, where the community is devastated. A week after the flooding ripped through this region, Texas Hill Country. Today, President Trump will be visiting this area, and the desperate search continues for more than 160 people that are still missing. The president will be landing at any moment, and he will then start that tour of some of the hardest hit areas here, before then meeting with first responders and volunteers. Here's what he said just moments before leaving the White House this morning.
It's a horrible thing, Nobody can even believe it, such a thing. That much water that fast. Without a dam break, you'd think a dam would have to break to have it. So it's a terrible thing, but we're going to be there with some of the great families and others, the governor, everybody is going to be there.
Despite so much destruction in the community around us, we have seen a whole lot of hope. Texans and others from across the country are showing up, and they're lending a helping hand. And with so many still missing, those extra hands are playing a very critical role.
We're in Texas, right? Texans got Texans back. So we're here we're here for that reason and no other reason than that. We're not looking for any sort of recognition or any sort of anything other than, the thank yous that we get mean more than anything.
What's it mean to have a place like this where you guys can stop by, get some water, get some food, and get back out there?
It's been really great. It has. We pass by this direction. We're meeting at the Comfort City Park, so we pass right by here every time we come. And so after the shift, we've been stopping it. Everyone's been so happy to be able to come get food. Easy. They can just come right up here and get food, get the water, shade, and rest, and then meet people up here. It's been so amazing meeting everyone up here.
Why are you here?
Well, when the Lord puts something on you, as our grandparents taught us, you better go help them, because you might not get an next chance yourself, or something might happen to you and you need help.
That barbecue in Comfort, and there's a lot in that word right now in Comfort, Texas. These folks need a lot of comfort. It was right next to the fire department, just a place to sit, hydrate, and have some food. Joining me now, correspondent Xavier Walton. He's been here in Texas all week as well. Xavier, a massive amount of volunteers and rescue and search teams have shown up. I met a group from Georgia that drove 17 hours to get here and help. It's truly incredible, the big hearts of all these helpers.
It really is. And Marni, I think I spoke to somebody from Ohio that drove some 30 hours just to be here to help. Right now, we're about 7 miles away from where you are. We're upriver here on the Guadalupe River. And just think about it. A week ago, you know, this was someone's backyard. A week ago, there was a home here. And then look this way. Now, this is all that's left. And you see a big old gaping hole. And this community, which is right up against the Guadalupe River, was completely ravaged. If we pan to the left, you can see the river, and that'll give you an idea of how high the water is, because the water actually rose all the way to the bottom of that bridge over there. We are hearing some new dispatch calls. This is coming from a volunteer fire department. It's pretty telling. Moments leading up to what happened. Now we know, obviously, a week later. I want you to take a listen to this.
We still have water coming up. The Guadalupe Shoemaker sign is now underwater on Highway 39. Is there any way we can send a code red out to our Hunt residents asking them to find higher ground or stay home?
We have to get that approved with our supervisor. Just be advised, we do have the Texas water rescue en route.
All right, so that is really telling to hear that, Marni, as you take a look at some of these live pictures of volunteers, obviously coming out this way, this direction. You know, our sister station, KXN, reporting that that call was 3 hours after the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning. But obviously people here, some that I have spoken to, say that warning didn't come nearly soon enough. Some people even in this community here, you know, they would have liked to have had, you know, maybe perhaps they said some sort of siren would have at least given them some sort of fighting chance. You visited Comfort yesterday. Comfort is one of the few fire departments here in this area, in the Hill Country, that actually has one of those sirens.
Right. They have an old bell outside of the fire department, which used to be the way they would alert people, and that's been there for more than 100 years, and now they have a siren. Yeah, we saw that. That's been there for a few decades. Xavier, you've been talking to people and rescuers. What are they telling you they're dealing with in the aftermath of these floods? I mean, this is emotionally draining work out here, but they're not complaining.
No complaints. I mean, they're thinking about the families at the end of the day, emotionally draining, physically draining, and this is the kind of stuff that they're having to sift through. I mean, we have been out here for days and just watching these crews search methodically through all the massive amounts of debris. It is remarkable. Here's the other thing. There was a lot of water here. That water is no longer gone. It left behind a lot of mud, residents say, and some of these search and rescue crews as well believe that is playing a big role.
There's about 6 feet of mud that ended up in that ditch, dry creek, whatever you want to call it, and up the creek just about 25 to 50 yards, it's 10 feet. 3 times we smelled the smell of death, human death, as we're walking, but those dogs smell that better than we do, so I'm surprised that they didn't start digging over there.
And as that gentleman says that, you talk about digging, here are more responders now. Looks like police, law enforcement coming up with shovels, you know, getting ready to do another day's work. And something else, you know, Marni, I want to touch on, because when we were out here, they were actually, you know, with cadaver dogs. And, you know, it was very quiet. It was very emotional to a degree, because at the end of the day, what these search and recovery crews are trying to find is someone's loved one. It's somebody's brother, sister, uncle, and they're trying to at least provide some sort of closure. So at the end of the day, you got to remember that. And again, I mean, we just got here, and you could see just another crew getting ready already to go back in, and I can already see some off in the distance. But that is what it's been like here for the last several days around the clock, just trying to recover and reunify those that are missing.
And Xavier, I was talking to one rescue team, the aerial group, and they said they need more cadaver dogs, and they're going to need them at least for the next week. So the call for help continues to go out. Xavier Walton, thank you. Here with me now, someone who put his own life on the line when his fellow Texans were in need. Justin Brown lived here at this park, this RV park, when the flood hit. Thank you so much for being with us. Your little girls are sitting here on the deck with us, and I've got to say it's nice to hear their laughter and their voices in such a time of pain and need. Take me back to those moments when you and your neighbors were surrounded by water. Describe what was happening.
Well, I woke up right as the water was flooding in. They were knocking on people's door, trying to get people out. I literally woke up right before the guy knocked on my door, looked out, and the river was level with the bridge. We loaded up. I got my kids at this tier up here. This normally doesn't ever flood. This is typically our safe zone. This is where we evacuate to higher grounds and then, regroup and go from there. But from the knock on the door, it was 2 minutes to that spot, and back down there was a family on the river. We tried to go get them out. From that 2 little minutes, it probably went up another 8 inches. By the time I got down there, it was knee deep. There was so much debris flown in. Another guy almost got knocked out. I almost got knocked out. And we managed to get back, got the guy up on the corner, got Bolton up, and then the rescue boat was coming in. So he said, I thought they were going to go get the family that was out on the island, but I guess not. I don't know if they tried. I don't know what happened there. They told us to evacuate. I had my kids here, and at that point, I could see the water coming up. It was like a stairway to heaven going up the river.
Talk about the force of the water, Justin. Even when you're in it knee deep, I
can walk this river knee deep, no problem. Even when it's in a flash flood, I can go out there and get a kayak out of the water. But that night, it was flowing quick. It was taking people's feet out from under them.
Where was your home?
Oh, right down there behind that trailer where that big old lake is now. That used to be a 30 by 40 concrete slab that was about a foot thick. It's 200 yards downriver right now somehow. I don't even know how that's some force right there to pull up concrete like that.
You've got to see it for your own eyes, but as we look out here and nothing is left.
It's barely even recognizable.
No, it's not. What did this park look like?
You couldn't see any of that. You could see the roof of a couple of cabins over there, and your next view was that tree line way in the back. You couldn't see that far up either way. It was nice and shaded, and it was real pretty over here.
There's a lot of talk about warning systems, sirens, ways to alert people. What kind of warning did you have, and what kind of warning do you want to have next time?
As far as warnings go, I don't know why we didn't get one. I don't see how it rained so much in Hunt that we got flooded that past year. It almost seems impossible. I could be wrong about that, but we've always had the same routine around here. There's deputy sheriffs, there's volunteer fire department. When we start getting a flash flood, there should be people at all the water crossings monitoring and getting ready to barricade roads. It happens all the time. Nobody got anything.
The siren is in Comfort. Where we are here in Kerrville, you guys don't have, what would be a tornado siren.
Didn't Comfort get hit hard too? Yeah, there's no reason not to. They're not that expensive to build.
Yeah.
It's a siren. It's a loudspeaker is all it is.
A county commissioner said, I think it was after the flood in Wemberley in 2015, that there were complaints by the community. They want to hear the false alarms all the time. That seems like a...
Oh, yeah, this is unexpected. Normally, the flash flood, it would have been water damage into your home. That should have been it. That's normally what we get. It's just a little bit of water damage around here. Never, a 30-foot wall of devastation.
Yeah.
A 39-foot wall, whatever it was.
What are your girls doing when all this is happening?
That night, for some reason, they slept in my bed that night, so they haven't done that since the beginning of the school year last year. Everybody was in my room. I loaded them up, got them out, and we were sleeping. They were sleeping. I just got up. I was actually down there at 2 a.m. checking the river. Lorena was right behind me checking the river. Bolton, he was out there checking it with his binoculars. We monitor the river ourselves, and we normally have warning from people upstream or upriver, so we had no warning this time.
Yeah.
Nobody on loudspeakers coming through to evacuate or nothing. I don't know where all the sheriff's department were. I guess everybody was on vacation this weekend or last weekend.
And a lot of people, it sounds like, too, were trapped. So the president will be here. He's probably landing as we speak, Justin. Is it important for him to be here? Is it helpful for him to be here? How do you view this?
Yeah, it's a natural disaster, and he's our leader, so But I don't think this is a federal problem. I think it's local city and state problem, or city and county problem, more or less. We monitor this river, not the feds. So.
Will you rebuild? What's the plan?
My plan is to move back here. We're going to try to get another travel trailer, hopefully, and we won't be down there. We'll be up on higher ground, but we had the best landlords here. They wanted a family-oriented. They offered cheap rent for people. That's one of the reasons why I'm disappointed that FEMA denied them. Is they created affordable housing for families here. It wasn't just a business to them. So yeah, it's a little messed up.
All right. Well, there's nothing left, but they're clearing debris so that you guys can get back here and do so safely.
Oh, it looks like it's going to be a while before we're back, but we'll get there one day.
Blue Oak RV Park. Justin, thank you for your
Yes,
time. God bless you and your family and your beautiful little girls here, 7 and 8 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care of yourself, okay?
All right, you too. Y'all be safe.
If you would like to help donate, the need will be great now and in the weeks and months to come. Scan the QR code on your screen, or you can go to newsnationnow.com/help. Coming up, President Trump about to land here in Texas and get a look himself at the devastation. New details from his highly anticipated visit. Next.
She was way up in this tree over here, and the water was just a couple of feet below her feet that were dangling down. And so I immediately called out to her, "Hey, I see you. We're gonna get you out of there." One of the young men climbed up in the tree, gave her a life jacket, and said, "Put this on." And then they told her, "You're gonna have to jump into the boat."
I'm Marni Hughes in Kerrville, Texas, live this morning from the Blue Oak RV Park. There used to be an entire community here, and today it's a flurry of activity a week later as folks with heavy equipment show up and start removing debris and continue the search effort. We're waiting for the arrival of President Trump right now. This community has been devastated by this flash flood. 120 people have lost their lives, and now a week into this, the community is still searching for the missing. We're also trying to figure out this question: what's next? Chrissy Elishar lost her home in the flooding and joins us now live. I don't even know if it's time to ask the what next, Chrissy. How are you doing after losing your home? How do you process what has happened?
Oh, it's a really big question. I don't know. We are definitely going from minute to minute. It's hard to believe it's been almost a week. And also, it just feels like a year. Yeah, our home was destroyed, and we are so grateful that our friends in our community have reached out and wrapped us in warmth and support. So we have a safe place to stay. We're homeless. We've lost everything, but we're alive and we're together. So we're counting our blessings.
That's what matters most. I understand you don't have flood insurance, though, so have you started to think about how you piece everything back together?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. We don't have flood insurance. So we've started with our home insurance and FEMA, and we have a GoFundMe that our friend has started for us. And just need a little pinch of kindness from the whole world right now to get us to our next step. Lost my car also, so lots to restart.
Yeah. What's the process been like so far? I know FEMA's probably getting a lot of calls like yours, Christy. Have you been able to get through?
Just today, finally. They don't have answers. I live in Travis County, in a different part of the Hill Country, so there's still a lot of uncertainty for me about that federal declaration that needs to be made. So yeah, we're just really in a hurry up and wait situation.
I have heard that there's been so much focus on Kerr County and those camps along the Guadalupe River, but you are in Travis County. Talk to me about the devastation around you and some areas that we aren't seeing as much of, and what the destruction looks like, and what kind of warning you did have there.
Yeah, we had no warning, and we do live at a kind of junction of creeks right before the inlet of Lake Travis, a really huge lake in our area that's been chronically drought ridden and very, very, very low. So whenever we hear these storms in, in the headwaters above us, it doesn't necessarily alert us to any special sort of warning. So we didn't have any warning. We didn't have any alert. We were saved. Our lives were saved thanks to a Good Samaritan who happened to be nearby named Matthew Crowder. And yeah, the whole house shifted many feet to the side, to the left, off its foundations, and would have been washed down the river with us inside, but a tree, you may be able to see, stopped it along the way.
Chrissy, the president will be in Kerr County today and kind of focusing his visit here, but what do you want him to know about Travis County and those elsewhere in Texas impacted by this storm in terms of the need federally moving forward?
Yeah, I plead for that declaration to be open to all of us. Our need is so great and so large. So please, please help us in all the areas, the federal government, the local government, the GoFundMe, the kindness of all the strangers around us. We need it all.
Describe those moments when the floodwaters were coming into your house and what that was like for you and your family.
Oh, Marni, I don't know if you have kids. I had 4 kids at home. I have 3 kids of my own, and one of my sons was having a sleepover celebrating July 4th, and we hear a scream from outside to try and wake us, and I wake up and look outside the door, and my front yard had turned into a raging river. The water was coming from behind us, underneath the house, moving the house. It looked like a horror movie, and there was no time to put shoes on, make decisions, nothing. We had each other and we walked across this raging river trying to find higher ground. My daughter slipped and nearly was washed away. But thank God the 4 of us and my dad and our 4 dogs made it to safety.
What a miracle. What are you saying to your kids in that moment to console them? How do you come up with the words?
I didn't have the words, but my kids did. My kids were the ones that just kept hugging me and saying, we're alive, Mom, we're alive. I was not okay. They were brave.
Chrissy, thank you so much for your bravery, for your kindness and generosity of your time and sharing your experience with us. We're thinking about you and want to get the word out. Travis County, another area here in Texas in the Hill Country that's impacted by this devastation. Thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing our story. I appreciate it.
All right. Still to come, we are waiting for President Trump to arrive here in Texas. This visit comes amid calls from his administration to overhaul FEMA. We're going to talk about that part of the story straight ahead.
Well, it is the top of the hour. Thanks so much for sticking with us. I'm Kelly Beeson, live in Chicago, in today for Nicole Burley. We continue our coverage on the ground of those deadly floods that have devastated Texas. NewsNation's Marni Hughes has been on the ground covering stories of not only the devastation, Marni, but also the will, the hope that's alive where you are as well.
The resilience and the big hearts, not just from here in Texas, Kelly, but from all over the country. We are on the ground in Kerrville, Texas, and right now what we're waiting for is for President Trump to get here to Texas and tour this damage for himself, see it with his own eyes after this devastating flash flood left 120 people dead. He will also be hosting a roundtable with first responders. That is expected in the next several hours this afternoon. Right now, the search continues. These teams out here day and night scrambling to find the 160 people that are still missing. A week after the torrential rains came down and caused widespread damage, devastating small towns and communities, even that summer camp, Camp Mystic, located here along the Guadalupe River. The administration has also come under fire for the response to this disaster. President Trump is looking to scale down FEMA and have states take care of their own natural disasters. As we wait for the president to get here to Texas, that will be one of the questions. How does the federal government assist? Let's go to NewsNation's Xavier Walton now. Xavier, the recovery effort continues for the teams on the ground here. That remains the focus.
Hey, Marni, it does. We're just about 7 miles upriver from you. Actually, before we came on, I was looking down at the ground, and just another reminder of who may have perished during the storm. This looks like this might be from an old gaming system, so obviously it probably belonged to a kid. Even here, you see right here, looks like a bottle from somebody's young child. But as for those crews, you mentioned it. You look over here. Here's the work that is being done, and even in this area, just yesterday, there were crews out here, search crews, along with the cadaver dog, looking and seeing if they could find anyone, any person, any body. Meantime, we're also hearing new dispatch from a week ago. Take a listen.
We still have water coming up. The Guadalupe Shoemaker sign is now underwater on Highway 39. Is there any way we can send a code red out to our Hunt residents asking them to find higher ground or stay home?
We have to get that approved with our supervisor. Just be advised, we do have the Texas water rescue en route.
So next to our affiliate, KXAN, reported that call was 3 hours after the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning. Now, Marni, I want to point you up to the bridge here, and this is very important. That's how high last week the water was. This entire area, just think about that, would have been completely underwater. All these people, all this heavy machinery, there are some vehicles, all completely underwater, and you're just 7 miles away from where we are. So obviously you're seeing very similar images, but just really incredible.
Right. I mean, I'm standing right now on a second level deck, and this was all underwater, and everything behind me became part of the river. Xavier, you've been talking to residents and also the rescuers about the warning that they got, or lack thereof, depending on where they were. What'd they say?
It's a mixed bag. Some will say, hey, this was at night. I don't know that a alarm or a siren or anything like that would have made much of a difference. And then you talk about just how much water fell and then obviously moved downstream. But then others say they wish they would have had a fighting chance. Take a listen to somebody we spoke to about that very thing not too long ago.
There should be sirens down this river. But now all of a sudden Abbott is saying, well, we're going to do that. I've lived here for 25 years, and I've seen this river come up, and there's never any warning whatsoever.
Do you think it's too little, too late?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
All right, so Jack, he's actually up here. He's thankful he's alive, he's okay, but his house gone, everything in it gone, and he wishes he would have had at least some sort of alarm system, something that would have notified him. And he said, his cell phone, he didn't get any notifications or anything like that. So hearing a lot of that, also hearing, it's devastating, but don't want to necessarily point the fingers right now because there's still more than 160 lives, people that are still trying to be found.
Yeah, that's the focus. That's the priority. There are tough questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. But right now, the people on the ground are just looking for loved ones. Xavier, thank you. We are waiting for President Trump to arrive here in Texas, in Hill Country, the site of this catastrophic flooding a week ago. Joining the president on Air Force One, members of his cabinet and 2 Texas senators. Not on the trip, or at least on the list of names traveling with the president, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, or the acting head of FEMA. The future of that agency, which President Trump has pledged to dismantle, looms large as search and recovery efforts continue. FEMA is part of the DHS and has been without a confirmed leader for more than 6 months. NewsNation's Kelly Meyer is live for us at the White House. Kelly, both the president and Secretary Noem seem to be hinting at some reforms rather than abolishing the entire agency in light of everything that's going on here.
Yeah, definitely a shift in tone here, Marni. And I do want to say that we just got word that President Trump just landed in San Antonio at the Kelly Field Air Base. We should see video of him deplaning in a moment, and then he will be making his way to where you are there to see the catastrophic flooding damage firsthand. As he kind of shifts the tone, as we've been talking about, from elimination of FEMA to reform of FEMA. President Trump has recently said he wanted to, quote, wean off of FEMA after hurricane season ends in November. He said it was a little bit like their plans for the Department of Education, moving it back to the states. But this week, when he was pressed on whether or not FEMA will stick around, he says it isn't the right time to talk about it. So here's what the White House Director of Management and Budget said about FEMA funding this morning. Take a listen.
FEMA has $13 billion in its reserves right now to continue to pay for the necessary expenses. The president has said to Texas it needs anything it needs, it will get. The president will be down there surveying the scene. And, you know, we also want FEMA to be reformed. We want FEMA to work well.
You hear the word reformed there instead of eliminate. So a White House spokesperson telling us today the goal is to still downsize FEMA and shift power to the states. In addition to that, the president's FEMA Review Council will now recommend how FEMA may be reformed. So that's the next step here, Marni.
Kelly, the administration also is defending its handling of the disaster, even as we hear these questions mounting about the timing, the warnings, the availability of resources for those in those critical hours. What more are you hearing on that?
Well, we are hearing here in Washington that a Democratic Congressman, Jared Moskowitz, has called for the Homeland Security Secretary to be investigated over FEMA's response to the catastrophic flooding. Moskowitz is a former emergency management director in Florida, and he condemned Secretary Noem's response. He says it was delayed and hampered by Secretary Noem's cost control policy, he says. He also adds that the deployment of FEMA resources was delayed due to a rule that requires every purchase, contract, and grant over $100,000 to be personally approved by Secretary Noem. DHS says Noem did not need to initially authorize additional FEMA resources because the department used other DHS search and rescue assets. And this week, when the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was called out, she was calling out the questioning whether cuts to the National Weather Service impacted forecasting abilities. She fired back and said that this was a lie, Marni.
All right, Kelly, stay with us here. We're watching Air Force One in San Antonio now on the ground. The president here to see all of the devastation firsthand, and it's tricky business. One, to see the damage, but also comfort people on the ground here who are hurting and stay out of the way, right? If you come too soon after a disaster, it's in poor taste, you get in the way, they can't do the work they're doing. If you go too late, you're not sympathetic enough. So he's here to offer hope and a plan. And then, Kelly, as you were mentioning, the state response versus the federal response and how much financial support there will be moving forward. Are you hearing anything more, Kelly, about who will be joining him? And we've got a couple of Texas senators. We've got some members of his cabinet. Was there a discussion about having Secretary Noem be here or a reason why she isn't?
Yeah, and you touched on it there, Marni. You know, I remember being here covering the Biden administration and then hearing then candidate Donald Trump frustrated over how long it might have taken then President Biden to get to the scene of some of these catastrophes in the past. And now he's faced with this situation himself and has to weigh when to go. And as you said, you know, you don't want to go too soon because there is still the recovery effort and rescue effort, but then you don't want to go too late to sound or seem as though you aren't caring and don't want to be there on the ground. So he picked Friday. He gave the week for the recovery and rescue efforts to go on. Now he's going to see this firsthand. We're really watching for what he has to say about the federal response, what more the government can do in this situation. Of course, as the people you've been talking to on the ground there, a lot of this is too little too late for many of them, of course, but what lessons can be learned in the future and how the government can help with the cleanup and recovery efforts now. We don't know exactly why Secretary Noem isn't there with him today, but as you mentioned before, he did put out that post on True Social really commending her efforts in this. As we were just talking about, there have been some Democratic Congress members criticizing her response specifically to this as DHS and FEMA goes under that umbrella. But he was commending her for the response here. So definitely interesting to see how he acts today there as he brings the First Lady, Melania Trump, by his side and some of his staff, along with John Cornyn and Ted Cruz there as well.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, Kelly. I mean, one of the things is the warnings, the cuts to federal agencies and how they respond. The president did mention the need for sirens as we're here on the ground talking to people. I mean, you can argue whether a siren would have alerted some of the people in these remote areas, if weather radio would have done the trick. I mean, how do you prevent something like this from happening in the future? This is the third disaster zone that he's gone to in this second term. He visited the wildfires in California in January and saw that devastation, and then also was in North Carolina to look at the remnants of Hurricane Helene. There you can see the president along with the First Lady getting off the plane. It's significant to have the First Lady with him as well. You know, this is a moment for the president to show compassion and comfort, and a lot of times the First Lady can serve in that role as well. Kelly, to your knowledge, was she at any of I think she was in North Carolina. I don't recall her being in California for the wildfires, but the message this sends to the folks here on the ground, seeing a show of support, unity, the first couple here together, when else she travels with the president.
Absolutely, it is. It's a good point. It is rare to see her traveling with the president. She doesn't often do that, but it does happen when it comes to circumstances like this, of course. Just these devastating response efforts that you're seeing from the federal government here, her joining him by his side. She is seen as more of the one that goes to, like we saw here in Washington, the Children's Hospital, or really takes some of those efforts under her wing. So this is something that the First Lady does decide to attend with him, and she is able to kind of show that compassionate side here with the president. And really, it is showing a unified effort going together to show that to the American people, that they are going together, traveling together in this moment to visit with other families that are impacted by this, and to really try to console them at this moment. So it is a powerful moment to see them both together. It is not always something you see every day, them traveling together, and that is specific to this moment here that we're seeing in Texas.
Yeah, and you're looking at Kirk County on your screen now, and some of the people lining the streets in this region in anticipation of the president coming by. He is right now at the Kelly Field Laughlin Joint Base in San Antonio. He'll get on the chopper, and then he'll head to this region here in Kirk County. We have heard that he may make a stop at the Hunt store. When you talk about a place people gather, a place people go to pick up dinner or just see friends, that was the Hunt store in this community, and it was severely impacted by the floodwaters. I spoke to the manager of the Hunt store earlier about what it means to have the president here and how they're coping with so much loss.
You know, I'm glad they're coming because we need help, and we'll continue to need help. So we're just hoping that they're coming here to do that. You know, to give us some encouragement that we'll be seen through this.
Some hope, some encouragement, some optimism, some light in such a time of darkness. The president will also be part of a roundtable discussion today with lawmakers and first responders as the search here continues. 160 people still missing. We're going to take a short break. Continued special coverage live from Texas straight ahead here on News Nation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.